Throughout my short life so far, both through playing football and through JNM, I've met quite a lot of successful people within football. Whether we're talking about players, coaches, scouts, or anything else within football, successful people within this game all seem to have these same habits. I've spoken to several successful people, I've met several successful people, and I've not analysed them, but I've come to notice that they all share these same attributes and habits. And it's because of these habits that they're actually this successful within football. So, what are these secret habits? The first habit I've come to notice within these successful people is they're absolutely obsessed with football. They don't just like it, they absolutely love it. Like I said, they're obsessed with it. Everything within their life is tailored around football. They're football mad, they love it. They watch it, they analyse it, they play it, they can't get enough. When I talk to someone about football, you can tell within 10 seconds whether they like football or they love it. You can just hear the passion in their voice when you start actually discussing something football related, whether that may be tactics or a specific player or anything for that matter. You can just tell straight away whether they're just a football fan or, die-hard football obsessed. And it is because of this obsession that they're so good within this field. Because they're so obsessed, they're constantly thinking about their own football career, whether that, like I said, maybe as a player or a coach off the field. They're constantly thinking about how they can improve, what they can do to increase their chances of success. How can they play or perform better? How can they get better out of their teammates or their players? How can they take advantage of the opponent's weaknesses? Now, of course, I'm trying to teach you something, but I can't necessarily tell you to just be obsessed with football. If you're not that passionate for something, then you're just not. I'm simply telling you a pattern that I've come to notice within my short 21 years of living, that the players at the top, the coaches at the top, not even necessarily at the top, but just, if you look around and think, he's a good player, I remember this coach, he was a really good coach. All of those type of people are just absolutely football mad. And this does sort of correlate to the second habit. Before we get into that habit, I would just like to remind you to please subscribe to the channel. There are quite a lot of viewers who watch our videos who aren't subscribed, so if you could just do me a huge favour, double check if you're subscribed, and if you're not, just click that subscribe button. So habit number 2, like I said, does relate to habit number 1, and that is never being satisfied. I did speak about this in a previous video, and I was mentioning that a majority of unsuccessful players fail right here. They fail by being satisfied. And the better players and the more successful people within football are never satisfied. They always want more. They're always striving for better than average. They always want to improve themselves, and they always, are constantly actually working on bettering themselves. So these successful people I've met, they're never just happy with a good result, or they're never happy with a good session. They don't want to just fit in and follow the sheep and be an average player. They want to stick out. They demand a lot from their teammates. They set their standards within training, and people look up to them and try to reach their standard of football and quality. And again, this all comes down to not being satisfied. They want to finish a session and think, I put everything out there. I know I did well, and I'm happy with that. But there's more in my engine, and I'm ready to give that in the next session. Similar with coaches. They may set a very good session. They may be vocal all session. They demand a lot from their players. Their players reacted to that well, and it was a good session in general. But there's a few mistakes in that session, and they notice those, they write them down, they analyse their own work, and they improve it for the next time. The last habit that all these successful people have is they have big goals. A lot of people say that successful and unsuccessful people have the same goals. So what is the real point of setting goals if, the same people would reach them without setting the goal, if that made sense? So unsuccessful people will get out a piece of paper or their journal, wherever it may be. They might write down some random huge goals they have, and that's that. That's where they end that little task. Whereas successful people will get out their actual structured journal they have and they use on a daily or weekly basis. They'll have their specific goals they set. Then they set out a plan on how to actually achieve this goal. They don't just set a goal, they set out daily, weekly, and monthly tasks they must do in order to get closer toward that goal. And then they set a reason why they want to reach that goal. This holds them to a whole new level of accountability that unsuccessful people simply don't have. And that is why successful people create and set goals in a better, more effective way. Going back to the point, successful footballers all have these big goals, but it's not like they just have these goals because they want to reach them and that's that. They know they're going to reach that. They're going to work until they reach that goal. They won't take no for an answer. They're going to work. If they fail, they adjust, they try again, they learn from their mistakes, and they keep on going. But ultimately, the end goal stays the same. Whereas an unsuccessful people, after realizing they're not reaching that goal as quickly as they'd like, they just give up, they can't be bothered anymore. They fail a few times, they get a few slowdowns, they hit a few speed bumps, and they just simply stop working towards that goal. So just to recap, all successful footballers from who I've met and seen are all obsessed with football. None of them are ever satisfied with their own standard, and they always have these big goals that they strive towards. And if you also have these three habits, congratulations, you're going to do extremely well.